Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. And in this episode, I am going to be completely honest with you about something that's crossed my mind quite a few times recently. And it's something that I wasn't sure whether to talk about on the podcast. I was debating bringing it up, but now I've kind of got through it. I'm hoping that by being transparent about the particular way I was feeling, it might help you. That my experience might help you in any way, shape, or form. So, what am I talking about? Well, over the last few months, and perhaps really I'd say over the last 6 months, if I'm being completely honest, I've been very close many times to giving up the podcast, to stop the GSL-English podcast. And I'm not saying that at all to get your attention for views. It's completely true. It is completely true. As much as I love doing this podcast, I enjoy preparing them, I really appreciate all of the support that you guys constantly give. I don't know why, but so many times I was close to giving up the podcast. Actually, I do know why, and I've come to terms with that, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. So what I wanted to do was share my thoughts with you, my personal experience on that battle with giving up. And it applies to so many things that we are trying to learn, doesn't it? Perhaps you're at the point with English, you've maybe thought about giving up progression. Just staying where you are, it's good enough, it will do. Or perhaps in a career, going to the gym, whatever it is. How can we break through the negative thought process of giving up? Or in English we say, sacking it in. I've had enough. So I'm going to share my experience with you. We're going to look at reasons why we're giving up. Where does that thought even come from? And then we're going to look at a really famous experience of somebody that did not give up. And of course, as we go through, we talk about this topic. We'll learn some new vocabulary. There's a chance for you to practice your listening and reading skills. So, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. I hope you've been doing well. I hope you've had a good week. Little apology at the beginning of the podcast. Some of you did notice, or you're going to notice now that I'm bringing attention to it, that the image might seem a little bit hazy or fuzzy or blurred. That's not your eyes going mad. I dropped my phone, which is the camera that I record this podcast on. And on an iPhone, it's got like 3 lenses. Well, the one that is used to record decided to crack. So the outer layer of the lens has smashed. Luckily, I can still record, but I have noticed, and some of you guys did notice last week, that the picture quality isn't as good as it could be. And Heather, my wife, has been saying to me for ages, you need a new phone. You need a new phone. I'm on the iPhone 11, I think. And she's right. I've been due a new phone for ages. My phone is ridiculously slow. If I type a message, it takes about a minute to catch up. But I just don't want to spend that money. You know what I mean? I don't want to spend the money on a new phone, but I might have to just bite the bullet, meaning that to do something that we don't really want to do and get a new phone. So if you do notice that it's a bit hazy, that's why. Give the video a like and a subscribe. Help me buy a new phone. No, I'm joking. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I hope you had a good week. Whatever you've been doing, I hope your week's been successful. And as always, I do thank you so much for the viewers on YouTube and the viewers and listeners on Spotify for constantly supporting the podcast. The comments have been coming in thick and fast recently, and don't stop. I love all the comments. I think throughout this week, I replied to as many as I could. So if you ever do want to leave a comment, share your thoughts, say hello, share an experience, ask a question, whatever it is, please don't shy away. I will honestly always try to get back to you. So, yeah, leave a comment. So, as many regular viewers and listeners will know, before we get into it, I do encourage, if you can, getting somewhere comfortable, getting relaxed. That's all the purpose of this podcast. If you are working, maybe treat yourself to a coffee break. You deserve it. Or if you are watching this at time of release on a Sunday morning, grab a nice morning cup of coffee, get under a blanket, and just relax and enjoy the English language with me. So, why have I been feeling recently like giving up with the podcast? Well, I'm going to give you just a plain and simple answer that I've come up with, and that is that I think for the last 6 months, my perspective has been completely off. And when I talk about perspective, we're talking about the way that we view things, the way that we perceive a situation. And my perspective was off. And what I mean by that is the reason that I felt like giving up the podcast is because I wasn't focusing on the right things at all. It's very easy when you are in the social media world, in the podcast realm, putting content out there. Some of you may know, to compare yourself with everyone else. I know I've said on this podcast, don't do it. I really do try not to, but I think recently I have been. And I've been looking at growth of other podcasts, of other channels, even ones that are completely unrelated to what I do, putting out incredible content. And for some stupid reason, I've been comparing myself to them when we're not even in the same ballpark. We're not in the same category. And I was looking at the analytics you get on YouTube Studio, where it tells you how many views you've had compared to previous months, how much perhaps money you've made compared to previous months, likes, view duration. And recently, it's all been lower than before. So then I work on trying to make the content more interesting, trying new thumbnails, new titles, new descriptions, studying the YouTube algorithm. And it wasn't changing. Views were okay. They were average, but nothing was going up. And I started to get a bit dejected by that. And I started to think, well, what's the point? I'm not seeing the progress I want to. Almost being a bit arrogant, thinking I deserve more. My perspective was completely off. And I only realised that, I think, last month when I was thinking, 2026, I'm not doing the podcast anymore. Then I sat down with my wife and she said, what on earth are you thinking? What you have accomplished and what you have grown is remarkable. And it really touched home with me because we live in a world where everything is about comparisons, isn't it? Everything is about comparing your English to someone else's, your success to someone else's. But actually, when you look at what we have personally achieved, we've done some incredible things. And I think of this podcast. Okay, we average 4,000, 5,000 views on YouTube. Being completely honest, that's how much we get. Having the opportunity to present the English language to 5,000 people is a remarkable opportunity. Okay, you compare yourself to other YouTube channels where they're getting in the hundreds of thousands of views. That's incredible. That's a great achievement. But to present something to 4,000 or 5,000 people that you've put time and effort into, that is by no means a failure. This is what my wife said to me, by the way. And I realised, I took some time just thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, do you know what? I am proud of that. I won't give up. And it just got me thinking about so many times in life. I know I've been there with so many different things where you just feel like giving up. You just feel like you've had enough. But when we go back to the bare fundamentals why we feel like that, it's often in comparison to others. It's often because we're not seeing the results that we feel that we deserve. And that might be true. And then we start focusing, we fixate on that. And then that leads to the thought of, well, what's the point anyway? I did some research on reasons that we might feel like giving up. And these are the 5 kind of main reasons that I think we can relate to. The first is when progress feels too slow. When effort doesn't quickly turn into visible results, motivation leaks away. Our brains love quick wins, and long games are hard. So there's the first point. Our efforts don't quickly turn into visible results. We all want results. And let's be honest, whatever we're doing, we want those results as quickly as possible. But the issue is when progress starts to feel slow, which with the podcast it is, it's a slow burner. It increases over time. I thought it was interesting here. It says that motivation leaks away. It doesn't say that motivation just is gone one day. No, it says it leaks away. And if we think of like a pipe leaking or a bucket with a very small leak in it, the water drains just over time, doesn't it? And eventually you're left with nothing. Well, that's what happens when we're not seeing progress. That motivation just slowly leaks away until very quickly you're left with nothing. So then we think, well, what's the point? We give up. The next is fear of failure or success. Failure can feel embarrassing or painful, but succeeding can be scary too. Success brings change, expectations and responsibility. So we're looking at both sides of the coin here. Fear of failure, well, it's our perception of failure in this time, isn't it? For example, when I first started the podcast, if you would have said to me, Gideon, you can regularly get 5,000 views on YouTube, get 4,000 a week on Spotify, I would have said, wow, God, yeah, I would have bitten your hand off of that opportunity. That would have 2 years ago been seen as a success. But now, why on earth have I changed to that feeling like a failure? With your English, try and think like that. If someone would have said your English will be where it is now 2 years ago, perhaps you would have just jumped at the opportunity. Why has that being a success changed? Interesting on the next one. Lack of clarity. If the goal is vague or the next step isn't clear, it's easy to stall. Confusion often disguises itself as laziness. That's an interesting point. Lack of clarity. We don't really know where we're going. The goal is vague, meaning it's not clear. It's not evident. It's not purposeful. So we give up. Next one, I think we've all felt it. Burnout. Pushing without rest drains emotional and mental energy. Eventually, quitting feels like relief rather than defeat. Burnout is the biggest reason that we give up with anything, because constantly pushing without rest drains emotion. For example, imagine with your computer, you just kept pushing it all the time, running as many applications as you could 24 hours a day. Well, eventually that computer is going to burn out. It can't logically keep on doing that. Likewise with us, we keep on pushing ourselves without rest. Eventually, the battery goes. So then we feel like, well, I've just got to quit for that relief from the grind, from the effort. So we give up. But actually, we just want a break. And the fifth one that I thought was probably the most common is that we feel that we're alone. We're doing it alone. Without support, feedback, or encouragement, challenges feel heavier. Humans are wired to persevere better together. By wired, it's kind of the way we're made. And this was true. I do this podcast alone. I'll be honest with you, that was why a couple of weeks ago I had my wife on the podcast. Thought I need a bit more support with this. And she's so supportive. She's amazing. But sometimes just talking it out with someone else, with a friend, a family member, helps you regain your perception of success rather than comparisons to everyone else. So there were the reasons that I kind of thought that we might feel like giving up. And perhaps this does apply to you with your English. Perhaps it applies with a career, with something that you want to achieve, even a hobby. Maybe it's learning an instrument. Why do we give up? Well, often there is a reason. When we go back to one of these, that there is a key reason as to why we're giving up, but there's also always a reason to keep on going. We should not give up just because of something that we could change or we could tweak, or a mindset that just needs adjusting. And that's what I've realized with myself. I just needed to actually refocus, change my mindset. And don't worry, I'm not giving up the podcast. I'm going to keep on going. I enjoy it. I love it. I just need to keep that honest and content view of success. But why should you keep going when learning English? I just want to read you a little extract, okay? That I took from, I meant to write down the website. I'll put it in the description. But, why you should keep pushing yourself when learning English. Why we should not give up. And I just thought, I'm going to present some reasons to you as why you should not give up with your English, or why you should not give up pushing yourself, progressing, reaching the next level of fluency, of vocabulary, grammatically. See what you think of this. Learning English can feel uncomfortable. You may worry about making mistakes, sounding silly, or not improving fast enough. These feelings are normal, but they are also a sign that learning is happening. Pushing yourself, even a little, is one of the most important parts of real progress. One reason to keep going, or we could say one reason to not give up, is that English makes your world bigger. It allows you to communicate with people from different countries, access more information online, and enjoy books, films, and music in a new way. English is not just a school subject. It is a tool that connects you to opportunities. Another powerful reason is confidence. Each time you speak English, even imperfectly, you build courage. That confidence does not stay only in the language classroom. It often appears in job interviews, presentations, travel, and everyday conversations. Learning English helps you believe more in yourself. Many learners think mistakes are something to avoid, but mistakes are actually proof that you are learning. If everything feels easy, you are probably not growing. When English feels difficult or uncomfortable, it means your brain is working and adapting. This is where real improvement happens. It is also important to remember that opportunities do not wait for perfect English. People use English all over the world with different accents, levels, and styles. Clear, simple English is far more valuable than perfect grammar that is never spoken. You learn to communicate by communicating. Pushing yourself now is also a gift to your future self. The effort you make today saves you time, frustration, and fear later. One day, you will realize that English feels more natural, and it will be because you chose not to give up when it was hard. Finally, English gives you a stronger voice. It helps you share your ideas, opinions, humor, and personality with the world. You deserve to be understood, and pushing yourself brings you closer to that freedom. Learning English is not about being perfect. It is about being brave, consistent, and willing to try again. Each small push forward matters more than you think. I don't know. What do you think about that? There is always a reason to keep on pushing. And there was one particular point that I wanted to highlight from this. You deserve to be understood. When communicating, you deserve to be understood. Pushing yourself, even just the slightest amount, learning a new word, having a conversation, making a mistake even, gets you closer to that freedom that you deserve. We all deserve to be understood, but there are so many reasons to keep on pushing yourself with your English. It's not about perfection. It's not about perfect sentence structure. It's not about the most advanced vocabulary. It's about communication. It's about getting to know people. It's about sharing your personality, understanding jokes, traveling, helping people, offering advice, accepting advice, phoning your friends in English. That is all what it's about. It is not about perfection. So we've got to keep on pushing ourselves to reach that point. But I think we're all human, aren't we? And we've all felt like giving up at times. So there's one example that I wanted to share with you now. Many of you will know just from previous episodes that I'm a big Disney fan. I do like Disney films, but I'm actually a fan of Walt Disney. I think what he managed to create is really interesting. I think the imagination behind it, as a business model, as the idea of creating things which take people away from reality just for a little bit of time, I love that. And I'm really interested in Disney parks, Disney World, just the way it works, the way it runs. You might think I'm a loser, I'm a bit sad, but it's what I enjoy. But Walt Disney could have given up so many times, but he didn't. So let's read his story together. Again, of course, as we're going through these, it's always an opportunity for you to read along with me if you want to. You can either do that by pausing and then repeating, reading along at exactly the same time, taking it paragraph by paragraph. Great way just to practice your fluency, your rhythm, and your British accent if you would like to. But of course, just listen along and enjoy, if not. Walt Disney is remembered today as one of the most creative and successful figures in entertainment history. His name is connected with imagination, childhood wonder, and global success. However, his journey was far from easy, and his success came only after years of failure, rejection, and financial struggle. So we start off here by talking about, Walt Disney. When we think of Walt Disney, you think of success, you think of imagination, you think of the films that he's created or his company has created. You think of the parks all around the world, an amazing business. You don't think, the words that don't come to mind are failure, rejection, financial issues. That's not what comes to mind, is it? But the reality is, he went through all of that. As a young man, Walt Disney dreamed of working as an artist. He began his career drawing cartoons for a local newspaper. But his dream did not start well. He was fired from his job because his editor believed he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. For many people, this kind of criticism would have ended their confidence. But Disney continued to believe in his creativity. So he had this dream of working as an artist. So he began drawing cartoons for a local newspaper, but then he was fired from his job. He was fired because they said, "You got no imagination, Disney. Got no good ideas, Walt. What are you doing?" Now, to hear that from a newspaper, you could have thought, well, this is not for me then. I'm going to try a different career. That kind of criticism, when someone criticizes us, they find the faults or they have negative opinions on what we are doing. That kind of criticism in that line of work could have ended his career. He could have given up at that point. But what's interesting, I like this point. Disney continued to believe in his creativity. He believed in himself. So what did he do? He later started his first animation company, full of hope and ambition. Unfortunately, the business failed and went bankrupt. Disney lost money, stability, and direction. At one point, he struggled to afford food and basic living expenses. Still, he refused to stop creating. So he went from that criticism and thought, I'm going to start my own company. He's got hope. He's got ambition. Got goals. But what happened to that business? It failed. Went bankrupt, meaning that he lost all his money. And then from that, couldn't afford food. The basic living expenses were different to come by. Could have given up at that point. Most would. But he refused. He believed in himself. He refused to stop creating. After this setback, Disney moved to Hollywood to try again. There he created a successful animated character, only to lose the legal rights to it due to a poor business deal. This loss was devastating. He had created something valuable only to watch it disappear from his control. Many people would have quit at this point, feeling betrayed and exhausted. And this is interesting. If you are interested in Disney, have a look into that. But yeah, he created this animated character. It was successful. It did well. A bad business deal, and he lost the legal rights to it, meaning that he had no legal basis to stand with it. So now he's done something successful. He's created something valuable, but then lost control of it. Instead of giving up, Disney chose to start again from nothing. During a difficult train journey, he sketched a new character that would change his life forever. You can all guess what character that is. Mickey Mouse. At first, even Mickey was rejected. Disney struggled to find companies willing to distribute the cartoons, and success did not come immediately. But he continued refining his work, improving animation quality, and pushing creative boundaries. So then he came up with this character, Mickey Mouse, which I think everybody knows. But what happened at first? Mickey was rejected. How dare you reject Mickey? But he was. Disney, he was struggling to find companies that would distribute his cartoons. And he didn't just come up with this character and then success came immediately afterwards. So what he continued to do was refine. And when we refine something, we just keep tweaking, we keep changing just to make it more perfect, to make it better. So he thought, I'm going to keep on doing this. I'm going to keep on improving my animation quality, and I'm going to push those creative boundaries. Bearing in mind that he was originally told, you've got no imagination, Walt Disney. Eventually, Mickey Mouse became a global sensation. Disney's studio began producing innovative animated films, including full-length feature animations that many people believed would fail. When Disney released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, critics called it Disney's folly and predicted disaster. Instead, it became a massive success and proved that animated films could move audiences emotionally and commercially. Eventually, so Mickey Mouse became a global sensation, meaning that he was globally recognized and loved. And then he came out with the first feature film, which was Snow White. And they said, it's going to be rubbish. What a disaster. Instead, it was a success in so many ways. Later in life, Disney took on even bigger risk, building Disneyland in Anaheim, LA. Investors, journalists, and business experts doubted the idea. Some believed no one would travel long distances just to visit a theme park. Disney ignored the doubts and focused on his vision. When Disneyland opened, it transformed entertainment forever and inspired theme parks around the world. Walt Disney's story is not about instant success or natural talent alone. It is about persistence, belief, and the courage to continue after failure. His life shows that rejection does not mean the end. It can be the beginning of something greater. Disney once said, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. His own life is proof that success often belongs to those who refuse to give up, even when the road is long and uncertain. What I find interesting with Walt Disney's experience is every step along the way he had doubters, people that said, it's not going to happen, even with Disneyland. No one's going to travel to go there. You're mad. But what did Disney do? He ignored the doubts. And I thought about this with my podcast. I don't have many people doubting. I don't have many people telling me it's not going to work. But I do that myself. I create those doubts. I create those voices that say it's not going to work. Well, I'm really my own worst enemy then. Are we doing that with ourselves when it comes to different things we want to achieve, learning English? Are we our own worst critic? Do we always find the doubts, the reasons why it won't? Perhaps we need to start thinking why it will, believing in ourselves. So it shows here that Disney's experience, it's not about talent, so to speak. It's not about money. It's about refusing to give up. even when the success isn't what we thought it would be, even when the stats aren't quite where we want them to be, even when we make a mistake, even when we can't think of the right word, we don't know what an idiom is, or we don't understand every word of an English podcast. It's okay. We don't give up. Rejection or failure or a mistake does not mean in the end. He said it's about persistence, belief, and courage. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So there you go. I just wanted to share my experience with you about, those feelings of giving up with something, especially when we've put time in. Before you do it, before you give up, just think to yourself why you started. And if you could look at yourself now, 2 years ago, would you be proud of where you are? Well, you should be. Learning a language is a remarkable feat. It's a remarkable achievement. But the world we live in, it's almost become a norm. But actually, let's think about what we've done. We've rewired our brain to communicate. That's more than I've done. I'm nowhere near as good as you when it comes to a second language. So well done. Keep going and don't give up. There are so many reasons to keep on going. So there you go. That's the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this one today. If you did get to this point in the podcast, I would like you to write, "Don't give up," in the comments. Let's see how many don't give ups we can get in the comments. If you've ever got any suggestions of anything you'd like me to talk about, anything you'd like me to discuss, please do let me know. And if you are enjoying the episodes at the moment, it really helps me out if you do give it a like on YouTube, also on Spotify. Leave a comment, follow and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you all very soon. Have a good one, guys.